Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive session. You're watching us on PME Vidya channel number 7 and also on our YouTube handle NCERT Official. This session is specifically meant for students of class 7 and of course for teachers and all the viewers. Today, the topic of discussion is going to be exploring society, India and beyond, an introduction. What exactly it is, we will reveal the same in a while, but before that, let me tell you all the details through which you can reach out to us and participate in the session. Our phone number is 8800440559. Our email ID is dth.class7@ciet.nic.in. And we are also streaming live on our YouTube handle NCERT Official. So you can always participate through your comments, suggestions, and of course by sending in everything at the live chat box. Now, why I'm actually so speedy in this? Because I want to reveal all the details. It's going to be one interesting session. It contains a lot of content. Yes. But before that, let me introduce you all with my guest for the day. We are joined by Dr. B.L. Yadav. Sir, namaskar and very warm welcome to you.
Namaste, Harpreet. Namaste.
And let me apprise everybody that Sir is Associate Professor from Department in Education in Social Sciences from NCERT New Delhi, and we both are accompanied by our Indian Sign Language interpreter, Ms. Sonal. Namaskar and a very warm welcome to you too. Now, sir, I haven't revealed the suspense because I want you to tell everybody out there what exactly we are going to talk about today in this topic.
Okay, thank you, Harpreet, and thank you, CIT, for giving me very wonderful opportunity to present before your viewers. And for today's session, I am going to discuss about the Exploring Society, India and Beyond, Social Science textbook for grade 7 and introduction. Today, I will be introducing this book. What does this book contain? How this is useful, and in what way teachers should go through this book. That's all, Harpreet.
Well, that's lovely, sir. Thank you for sharing that brief overview with us. Now, since you said this new book has come out and you're going to reveal the details about the book, but I want to understand who inspires you to write the book.
You know, what should be the education in a particular country, be it India or any country of the globe? The important thing is that the education usually viewed through a particular policy. And whenever we talk about the policy, these are the policy documents that really formulate and envision the education system in a particular country. So whenever we talk about the education policy in India, then we have to go back as around 1968, when the first education policy launched in the country. And just after the first education policy, book came into the being. Thereafter, in the second education policy, National Policy of Education, that launched in 1986, and the plan of action came in 1992. Thereafter again book came. Intermittently some revision happened in the education policy, and thereafter latestly the third education policy came into 2020, and the education policy in India, that is followed by National Curriculum Framework for the education policy. So whenever we say who guides us about the textbook that is for the school setting, these are the particularly the national education policies that really give the direction to the textbook in a particular country. So that is in India.
Thank you so much, sir, for explaining that so wonderfully.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you. It was a really nice question.
Yes.
So Harpreet, whenever we proceed further, then we have to understand that these are the education policy. For our viewers, I had brought certain documents today in order to show you, and the first document that I am going to show you is that is the National Education Policy. You can see that is in my hand.
Yes.
This is the around 64-65 page document that really visualize the education, that sets the target, that sets the basically ideal things education. What should be the education in a particular country? That really gives the direction for the pedagogy, for the assessment, for the content, for the textbook, for the education. So this is the ideal thing for the education, for how the education should be visualized in a particular country. So this is the policy document.
Policy document, right, sir.
And the things that has been formulated in the education policy, how to achieve that thing. For achieving that thing, we have the action document that is known as National Curriculum Framework for the School Education 2023. You know that the education policy, in order to achieve the targets and this, ideal things that has been stated in the education policy, various curricular area groups has been formed, and apart from that various school framework has been formed, and among these National Curriculum Framework for School Education that sets the actions for the school education education right from the Balvatika to the 12th standard and the beyond. So, this is the action documents that is there in the school education in the country.
Right.
Then apart from that, when we talk about the education policy, these are the, when we talk about the education policy, they are the navigating, they are the guiding, they are the driving force for the textbooks. So, that is all about,
Thank you so much, sir, because you mentioned two very important documents, NEP 2020 and NCFSC.
Yeah.
Now, I want to understand how these two important documents visualize school textbooks or any other textbook for that matter. What exactly is there in them?
So, in order to deal the question that you are stated here, slightly I will be taking 1 minute in order to discuss the broad framework of the school education in the country. So, Harpreet, whenever we talk about the NEP 2020 and National Curriculum Framework for School Education 2023, then this NCF and NEP visualize the school education in the 4 different stages. Before this, school education was around 10+2. It means that 10 years of the schooling from class 1 to 10 and 2 years of the secondary education, that is for class 11th and 12th. The education policy deviates from that particular structure, and the school education has been visualized into 4 broad themes, 4 broad, you can see the stages.
Right.
The first one is the foundational stage, that is a 5-year total schooling, 3 years of the Balvatika, that is the preschool, and 2 years of the school, formal school setting. And this is the foundational stage that really helpful in order to form the foundation of the learner. Thereafter, the preparatory stage comes. This is the 3-year school setting, and this starts from the grade 3, 4 and the 5. This is the preparatory stage that really prepares the learner for the higher stages, and thereafter the middle stage come. The middle stage is around is the 3-year schooling, and that starts from the class 6, that's 7 and 8, and the 7th is the middle grade of the middle stage. So, about that we are going to discuss. And after the middle stage, we have the secondary stage, that is 9 and 10 phase 1 secondary stage, and class 11 and 12, that is the phase 2. So, this is how the broad structure differentiates between the old or previous education policy with respect to this education policy. Now, directly coming to your question, whenever we talk about any education policy in particular country, then the education policy visualizes the textbook, and whenever we talk about any education policy in India or the globe, then we come to know that the result based education plays a very important role. The competency based education plays a very important role. The learning outcome plays a very important role, that reflect that once the learners that they really graduate from a particular class, then to what degree they are competent in order to deal the present day problem, what they have learned, what is the learning outcome. And whenever we further deal about that NEP 2020 and National Curriculum Framework for School Education, that gives the critical thinking, that helps to develop critical thinking among the learners, and this critical thinking really helpful to solve the problem. In order to solve the global problem, in order to solve the national problem, local problem, this critical thinking is really very important.
Absolutely.
Interdisciplinarity, again very important thing that is mentioned in the education policy. I will be dealing this interdisciplinarity in a short while from now. And another important thing is the Indian knowledge system, that is the inbuilt in the textbook. Indian knowledge system means what the contribution of Indian scholars towards the globe. And today we talk about that we are living in the 21st century, and we really talk about the skills which are really very important, very pertinent for the 21st century. They commonly known as 21st century soft skills like knowledge, capacity, and value and disposition. So, these are the important highlights that inbuilt in the education policy.
Right.
And now, if we come directly to the books that we are that we are going to discuss today, Exploring Society, India and Beyond. So, Harpreet, have you ever heard a common proverb that don't judge a book by its cover?
Yes,
yeah,
I
have you ever heard?
Yes,
but
yes.
that proverb that is no longer applicable over this book.
Okay.
Because you can, to the greater extent, you can judge this book by the cover. How you can judge? If you see the cover of this very precisely and observe the things that are given on the cover, then you can see that the topography is there. It means that a flowing river is there. The river flows from the upland that comes in the downside. It reflects the certain geographical phenomena. These are the geographical phenomena that really influence to the greater extent to the other phenomena of our society.
And what's really catchy here is the content that I can see. Some element of spirituality is there.
Yeah, definitely I will come.
Some traditions, culture is there.
Yeah, that I will come. And apart from that, you can see one watery casting the vote, it reflects our very very strengthened democratic system that our country, the parliamentary system, the electorate parliamentary system that we have in the country. You can see there is the exchange of ideas through the QR code. One person is scanning the QR code in order to make the payment. So that really reflect the modern development that has been happened in the country. You can see one student carrying out some sort of the observations with the help of certain device that really reflect the scientific temperament. You can see one king is sitting there on the crown, so you can see that really reflect the some certain of the historical dimensions. So by watching the cover to the greater extent, you can judge the books. That's important thing. And apart from that, if I say another proverb that key, but if you see this book, that book really contains around 290 pages plus some preliminary 22 pages. So to some extent it has become somewhat voluminous book, somewhat bulky book.
Yeah.
And we can say, but we can say that don't judge a book by its the volume
and by its weight also.
By weight also don't, because that proverb no longer applicable. You can see that, you can see the whole book is fully given the visuals, the full page visuals are there, certain degree dimensions pictures are given, certain experiments are given, and I will be dealing in a short while from now. So we can say that the book really, the cover really depicts what is given in the particular book. So that's really very important about this particular book.
Right, sir. So now that you have actually told us that what exactly book has, you have actually highlighted the main points, but I want to understand why or whenever we launch new books, of course we come up with upgradations. How this book is different from the old books?
Harpreet, that you really raise a very important concern whenever we see about anything else, then, and that is very particularly applicable about the books, that writing the books, it's not a basically destination, it's the keep on going journey.
Yes.
And whenever we talk about the quality of the book, quality of anything else, then the quality is not the destination, but it is a keep on going journey.
True.
So whenever we see the social science book earlier, then we can see that in the previous education policies, the education, the social science particularly as a subject, that that was dealt by the three important books. These three books, you can see that.
You mean to say, sir, that earlier we had 3 books?
Earlier we had 3 books. There were separate books for the history, that is known as our past 2 textbook in history for class 7. For the geography we had our environment, that is again for class 7, and the another is the social and political life, that is for the political science. In order to deal the social sciences, there were 3 different books, you can see. But whenever we see that existing book that has been recently launched, that is there in the public domain, then for whole social science there is only 1 book. So that is a very unique feature about that particular book. As I have said that earlier we were having the 3 books, now we have only the 1 book. So the important question is that if there were 3 books now there is only the 1 book, what about the content?
Yes, how did you manage to club all the content in one single book?
Yes, your question is very important. We can say that yes, how did we manage? Right from the beginning, when we started writing the books as a contributor in this book, I had been engaged in this book, and it was thought deliberately, it was thought that after many brainstorming sessions, that what is the most important that must be given. And whenever you talk about the most important, then the idea of core essentials comes, the things which are very pertinent, the things are very important, the things which are really important, that is popularly known as the core essentials. So you can see over the screen that this book has been presented in a theme wise, and in this book there are the 5 themes. You can see the theme A, that is the India and the world, land and the people, that is directly or indirectly this theme is dedicated, that really depicts about the geographical dimensions. The theme B, that is the tapestry of the past, that really reflects some sort of the historical dimensions in the book. Theme C, that is our cultural heritage, knowledge, traditions, that orients the learner about the rich historical past, about the rich cultural past. Government and democracy, that gives the very sound understanding about the political system to some extent. And the theme E, that is the economic life around us, that really depicts the economic dimensions in the society. So this book is really very unique, and this book completely focuses on the idea of the core essentials for the learners. So this is a very good thing. This is how we manage 3 different books into the one book. That's the thing.
Well, that's wonderful, sir. It shows all your efforts. But let's talk about unique features of this new book now.
Okay.
Because you have already explained that you tried to manage all the content, but what's new has been added, and how is it different from the one that we had in the previous books?
So, Harpreet, if we see what the unique things in the book, that really requires much time, but we have that paucity of that time, so I will be taking only the things which are really very unique about this book. So, if we see some unique things about that, you take any chapter of the book, this is the book, and you see any chapter of the book. A chapter really starts with a very important pertinent quote. So, let us the example of the chapter 2. You see the chapter 2. The chapter 2 starts, that is about the understanding the weather, and this chapter really starts is very important quote. A change in the weather is sufficient to create the world and oneself anew. It means that in order to understand this chapter, in order to get the very brief idea what we are going to discuss in this chapter, directly or indirectly the quote mentions the direction in what way we are going. So, that is really very important. But I want to make a clear very important thing here to the learner, that whether you understand the particular quote or not, or the quote or not, that really does not matter a lot. If you understand this quote, well and good. If you are not able to understand this quote, don't worry, you read the chapter very precisely, you understand the chapter, thereafter you come back over the quote, you will definitely understand the quote. The philosophy that quote carries, that really very important.
So, sir, can we say that this quote is like a gist of what you are going to study in the chapter?
Yes, to some extent it really reflects the basically core idea of the particular of the quote. So, if we see some more examples about this quote, then
by the way, sir, book is really colorful.
Yes, you can see that. I will come here in a short while from now. So, if you take one more quote about this, then the quote is given in chapter number 3. You can see the quote, Kale Varsatu Parjanya Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desoyam Chobraita Brahmana Santu Nirbhaya. It means that may the rain be timely, may the earth be lush with vegetation, may the country be free from turmoil, may good people be fearless. So, this is how the quote has been, gives the philosophical direction to the, you can see the chapter. And one more quote I want to mention here.
Sure, sir.
That is the quote given in chapter.
So these quotes are by Indian personalities, or they have been taken from global context?
Better to avoid whether they are from the Indian or from some outside the scholar. We have to understand the intensity of the quote and the suitability of the quote.
Right.
Whether the quote is given by any Indian scholar or the quote given by the Western scholar, that doesn't matter at all. The thing that really matters a lot is that whether the quote is suitable with the philosophy of the chapter given is there. That's really very important. So, many times these quotes are given by any scholar, many times these quotes have been taken from a particular text. So, this is. So, one more quote I want to cite, that is the given in chapter 9. You can see the quote, very beautiful quote, a ruler's duty in the internal administration of the country are the threefold. You see how the, what is the duty of the ruler. Raksha, protection of the state from external aggression. Palan, maintenance of the law and order within the state, and Yogakshema, safeguarding the welfare of the people. So, this is the philosophy of the quote that is there. And so, this is another really very unique feature about this book. So, this is the one unique feature. If we see other unique feature, then we can see that. So, let us again go to the chapter number 2. You go any chapter, you will come to know that. But for the example, I am coming to the chapter number 2. You can see here in the chapter number 2, the big questions are given. Big questions, that question that is really important, that give the direction to the whole chapter. Big question that really give the philosophical dimensions to the chapter. So, for example, you can see the big questions given in the chapter number 2. How can we measure and monitor the weather around us? It means that by measuring the weather, by monitoring the weather, that really give the competent capacity, that really give the competency to the learner in order to understand the weather. So, this is the big questions, and at every chapter, just after the quote, you will find the visual, and thereafter you will find some big questions that give the direction to the chapter. And as and when the text progresses of the book, you will find let's explore, you will find think about it, you will find let's remember, many other things you find.
So, this is not just regular questions, but they will force the students to think, to analyze, and then to present their ideas creatively.
You know, the biggest challenge in the education system in any country is that how to keep engage our learners in the education system. Until and unless we give some innovative idea to the learners, that's important. So in order to keep engaging the learners towards this textbook, let's explore, let's about the thing, let's remember these are given, and basically that, you know, let's explore, think about it, let's remember these are the proposed activities, in text exercises, recall the concept that really what they have learned in the previous grades, that's need to be remembered. So that's why the let's explore, think about it, these are the tools to keep engaged to the learners and to ignite their imagery capacity towards the creativity. So this is the inner thinking about the given the things.
Right.
And apart from that, you can see don't miss outs are also given, and very importantly, as and when the chapter ends, every chapter ends with the before we move on. This before we move on basically that gives the summarization of whole the chapter, what we have taught, what we have understood in this chapter, that is given in the before we move on. So this is the basically précis or the concise summary of this chapter, what we have learned in this chapter. And as you know that questions and activities had become very, very important. How to conduct the question. Earlier the question mainly focused on the what, when, how. So we have to come out from this philosophy, and as and when the questions are being asked in any textbook after this chapter, after the learning this chapter, then we have to come out with the questions that are really very innovative. And these questions are really very innovative. We can say that this is the insert that we can see the questions and activity from the chapter 1. What in your opinion are two important geographical features of India? Why do you think they are important? What do you think India might have looked like if the Himalayan didn't exist? Write a short note or sketch on the drawing or express to your imagination. That really gives the creativity of the learner, that really gives the imagery capacity of the learner. Apart from that, this book is full of the sketches which sufficient visuals are given, and in order to set the uniformity in the pronunciation and diacritic marks are given, signs are given.
So there's so many things actually, sir, that we can explore, and you correctly said in the beginning that half an hour is extremely less to talk about the unique features of the book. But you've almost covered everything because we are running short of time, so we have to wind up the session over here. But I'm sure that it's better to buy this book first, go through the content. If at all there is any query, then they can definitely reach out to you.
And apart from that, just after ending of the chapter, you will find a very unique feature, that is the noodle. Noodle is the abbreviation of the notes and doodle. You can write in the page given under the heading noodle your own notes, your own idea, on your own briefings you can write. That's all from my side.
That's lovely, sir. And on that noodles note, of course, sounds delicious, but when you will work on that, you will find how much clearly you have understood the chapter. I must thank my experts for his contribution to the session. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and for making us aware about the textbook.
Thank you, Harpreet. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I would also like to thank my Indian Sign Language interpreter, Ms. Sonal, for her contribution to the session. Thank you, grateful. It's time for me to wind up the session over here. Before I leave, let's take a quick look at the ongoing competition, Balpan ki Kavita. Let's have a look.
क्या आपको भी गीत, कविता पढ़ने, लिखने और गाने गुनगुनाने में रुचि है? तो आइए शिक्षा मंत्रालय भारत सरकार की एक अनूठी और सराहनीय पहल का हिस्सा बने तथा भारतीय भाषाओं और अंग्रेजी में लोकगीत और कविताएं भेजें। आप दिए गए लिंक पर अपनी रचनाएं अथवा किसी अन्य रचनाकार के गीत और कविताएं भेज सकते हैं। भारतीय भाषा कविता प्रतियोगिता के नियम आदि भी आपको इसी लिंक पर उपलब्ध होंगे।
Well, we just talked about the textbooks, and let me make you aware that textbooks for grade 4 and 7 are available on Amazon, Flipkart and NCERT website, so please go and purchase your copies. Now, before I leave, let's take a quick look at the schedule, what's all coming ahead. So we're through with a session on social sciences. In a short while from now, you can watch our session on science. This will be followed by a session of mathematics. 4 p.m. is the time for our online training program, and at 5 p.m. we will bring you our session Sahyog, having a title Exercise and Mental Well-being. With this as a wrap, this is me, Harpreet Kaur, taking leave of you. Namaskar.